great at
Mental
that.
Health and Recovery
She's really good at that.
Services Board meeting for March the 5th is now called to order. And we will begin with the roll call.
Reverend Gordon,
Present.
Mr. Arnold,
Here.
Ms. Banks, Ms. Bell,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Present.
Ms. Carter,
Here.
Ms. Clark,
Here.
Ms. Friedman,
Here.
Ms. Harding,
Here.
Ms. Howe, Ms. Mendoza-Locke,
Here.
Mr. Knowles, Mr. O'Connor, Ms. Rodriguez,
Here.
Mr. Stengel,
Here.
Major White, Ms. White.
Okay, thank you. We'll have the recognition of our visitors.
Richard Arnold,
Annie Minton,
Paul Lewis Recovery Council, and St. Paul Community Center Board of Trustees.
Latrice Flowers, Board Staff.
Thank you very much. Welcome. And we will now have the approval of our minutes from February the 20th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any readiness? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Those abstaining? The motion carries. All right, our treasurers.
We don't do a roll call?
Do we have to roll call that?
I
You
don't
have to
care.
roll call that, it's a regular board meeting.
Regular board meeting, thank you.
Sorry, I should have got that.
Mr. Arnold,
Yes.
Ms. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Carter,
Yes.
Ms. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes?
Ms. Harding,
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza-Locke,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Stengel,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Passes. Our treasurer's report. Jenny?
The financial statements for January are on page 7. You'll see in the federal revenue, we are again under budget. And that is mostly due still to the SAWS grants. We finally are starting to see those contracts come through and some of those expenses come through. That's the grant that runs on the federal fiscal year that actually started in October. And there was the delay with the budgeting with Ohio Moss. So we're hoping that that catches up within the next couple months. In the state revenue, it actually looks like it's over budget, but it's not actually over budget. That is because of timing of when the quarterly allocations from Ohio Moss came in. So they came in January instead of February. So it's showing opposite of what it actually was. It's actually under budget slightly, and that's mostly because of the Access to Wellness grant. And then you'll still see the pretty big variance in miscellaneous revenue, and that is due to both the NAMI Ohio grant for Danny's Place, and we actually received $343,000 in February, so you'll see that catch up next month. And the City of Toledo ARPA grant, we got $66,000 in February, and we're waiting on another $202,000 that we put in the request for. So that will catch up in the next couple months as well. Then in the expenditure section, pretty much for the grant-funded program expenses, that is due to the SAWS programs and the Access to Wellness, along with some other underspending in some of the other lines. In the month of January, we had a decrease in net assets of about $3.9 million. On the balance sheet on page 8, pretty much the only significant change was in cash, and that was due to our January grant payments and legal payments, and it was partially offset by the quarterly Ohio Moss allocations. So our non-designated board fund balance at the end of January was just over $11.6 million. And you'll notice for us that's pretty low. I think usually July and February are our lowest months, because in March and August is when we get our next pots of money for our levy funds. So we are actually at, I think this is the lowest it's been in quite a while. Our payments for the month of January are on pages 9 through 11, and there is a motion on page 6. And I can answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Roll call vote.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Harding?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza Locke?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Stengel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Thank you. Health Officer designation. Amy?
Yes, page 12 in the packet, we, the Health Officer Advisory Group met to review all new and renewal applications for Health Officer designation. We have 2 new applications this cycle, as well as 4 renewals that are all listed there on page 12. And there is also a motion in the middle of page 12 for consideration.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. Roll call vote.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Harding?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza Locke?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Stengel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Fiscal year 2023 calendar year outcome report field.
Good afternoon, everyone. We can turn to page 13 of the packet. That's where the report starts. So this report covers an entire calendar year. There are some programs in the report that are going to be on a fiscal year basis, but they're noted within the report. This report is going to be what you use for the purchasing planning season that we're coming up on. So it's going to help you make informed decisions at both the macro and meso level. So the meso level would be the programs that we provide funding for. We can start on page 15 of the agency performance report. And this kind of, page 15 just gives you an overview of what you can expect in the report. So there's 2 parts again, the macro level, which is going to be the priority outcomes framework, and there's a write-up there on page 15 and part of 16 that goes over what the priority outcomes framework is and how it relates to us. And then we kind of get into the programmatic level detail. On page 16 and 17, those are scorecards that are taken from the priority outcomes framework, and the way they read is you'll see on the first scorecard, it says equitable access to behavioral health services. That is a domain within the priority outcomes framework. There's several domains, I believe there's 6 of them. And then below that, you'll see an indicator name, an actual column, a report year, and an indicator descriptor. And the indicator name, you'll also see at the end of it, it will say, like this one says mental health providers for the first one, and it has a little number 10. If you go back to the resources page, which I believe is on page 10, it will tell you where that particular data was taken from and the period that it was taken from. I just wanted to kind of point out a few things on this card. So we had a new health assessment, and we noticed that there was the youth suicide attempts, youth suicide ideation, and adult suicide ideation all went down, which is a good thing. So we know that there's impact being made in the community. Adult suicide attempts, however, went up 1 percentage point. It's now at 2%. On the next page, which is page 17, some other notable changes in here were youth perceived risk of alcohol and youth perceived risk of marijuana. That actually diminished So perceived risk is important in determining use behavior. So as that goes down, that means, more youth are not considering, using marijuana or alcohol as harmful. So that's not a good thing. Youth alcohol age of onset also went down as well. It used to be 13.1 about 3 years ago. It's now 12.5. So we know that's an increasing problem in our community. Adult binge drinking has also gone up. It was 22% 3 years ago. It's now 26%. Not in this report, but something I want to highlight, because the Priority Outcome Scorecard has data from 2022 for overdose and suicide-related deaths. I pulled the numbers not too long ago, probably 3 weeks ago, and what we're seeing is increased deaths for cocaine use and psychostimulants. So that would include methamphetamine at a pretty significant rate. I think so far, in 2023's data will be completed sometime in about September. However, we're already at 100 cocaine-related overdose deaths. And just to put that in perspective, at the height of the little cocaine pandemic that we had, it was about 65 deaths in 2020, and it's just been steadily increasing. Methamphetamine was around, and psychostimulants was around 9 deaths in 2020. It's now up to 24 for 2023. So just some things to look out for there. On page 18, this is where the meso-level data is. So the meso-level is more program outcomes. For the programs that we fund, we develop something called the Attachment 3, or program goals. And this kind of, we establish targets and everything for these programs that we fund. And this report kind of showcases their achievement of reaching those targets. Page 18, we'll talk about the whole collection process, the methodology we use, quality assurance, etc. On page 19, you can see that the programs that we fund, 80% achieve their contracted performance metrics at the year end. So that's been pretty consistent with years past. Page 19 and 20 start to break out by line of business, so that's treatment, prevention, and support services. And it also highlights the programs that were not on track, along with a little write-up that talks about what treatment, prevention, and support services means for the board. On page 23 is the appendix, and we kind of break it down a little bit more. So if you look on within the appendix, starting on page 24, you'll see that there's all the programs broken out, so you can see the provider, the program, what line of business it falls under, the people to be served, the reporting period, and it also notes if it's on a fiscal year basis within that column as well, whether the performance was on track, and then any notes that we thought were significant that we should bring to your attention. Does anyone have any questions?
Question. On the priority outcomes framework, page 15,
Okay.
it states that all new and current programs must be aligned with these indicators. Is that all or part?
It can be just one, or it could be several.
If I peruse through the appendix and just kind of focus on the places where they're not performing, a majority of these, though they're below the threshold of what was to be served, they're close. So there's a very few of these that are way off, is my point. So I think that's important to note here.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
I do have a quick question. In connection with our with our levy campaign and our issue 8. Is there any place that, other than our website and board materials, that identifies for the public all of the programs that we support as an agency? Because this is pretty impressive and extensive. I'm just curious.
We have a voteforissue8.com website that talks about the levy. It's not connected to our programs. We don't have a listing of programs and services. It was just supposed to be a landing page. We also have www.lc Mentally Well. That connects back into our website. That's like a splash page for introductory kind of things. But in order to see the whole listing, you really just have to jump back into our web page. However, what we do mention in our case statement that has been broadcast to all of our endorsement requests and people who requested it, the media, et cetera, we have a listing of our agencies that we fund.
Thank you.
This is very impressive. Almost feel like we don't toot our horn enough.
And kudos to the agencies too. I mean, they take a lot of time to put this data together, and there's a lot of meetings internally. And again, like I said, you all will use this document during the purchasing planning.
Thank you, Phil. All right, Scott, approval of additional the Health Recovery Service Board levy campaign contribution.
Okay, so we are at page 30. So as you will recall, this board allocated $75,000 to the Citizens for Mental Health Political Action Committee to run our Issue 8 levy campaign. The campaign budget at the current time was $95,000 and $95,078. The remainder of that amount beyond the 75 was to be made up by agency and individual contributions as well as PAC reserves. At our meeting last week of our levy campaign committee, it was decided that we believed that we needed additional media and voter engagement strategies to increase the chances of a favorable outcome. And there's a number of reasons why that's occurring. The endorsements aren't coming in as fast as we had hoped. We have some negative publicity around some of our legal things. And also, it's always tough to get new money. So the campaign committee put together a strategy for increasing voter awareness and likelihood of turning out additional yes votes. The bulk of the money, the additional $46,500, would be for purchase of television advertisement. But also we have a few other initiatives that we're working on, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the open, my director's report, and that will bring you guys into some opportunities to support us as well through your social media and stuff like that. But the reality is that we need to make an additional investment. We are receiving campaign contributions from the organizations. We're getting some issues, as some of you may have experienced, with getting our mail here. And so that has caused some concerns with any of the agencies or individuals that are making contributions. We're getting some bounce back, so we're trying to figure all that out. But be rest assured, if this board is being asked for an additional $25,000 towards the campaign committee, with the remainder of that amount being received by individual and agency accounts and PAC reserves. We believe at this point in time that if everything comes in, including the 25,000 agency contributions and a little bit more from the individual trustees and staff, that we'll have no issue with meeting all of our debt requirements here. But I'll just make this statement that our PAC will not have a financial reserve at the end of this levy campaign, as it once did. We are spending at a pretty big rate. The entire campaign is likely to cost about $140,000, which is about $40,000 more than we normally spend. So with that, there is a motion on the middle of page 30 for your consideration, and of course, there are a number of us here on that campaign committee that are willing to answer any questions that we might need to ask related to this.
Questions?
I have a comment. Just to encourage everyone, I'm sure that you guys will say yes to this, but you know, the team has been working really hard behind the scenes. There has been a lot of effort put into it, and it's a challenging time all the way around, especially that it's a March election. But I just wanted to encourage everyone to kind of think through that a little bit harder if you're having any doubts, because this is critical. It's critical for our community.
There's been a lot of work that's been done to try to figure out other avenues when you're dealing in a primary election which has some other dynamics in Lucas County. We've tried to come up with a plan that creates the best possible public awareness that we can, reaches the audiences that we believe will show up and vote in March, who they are, and trying to figure out and target ways that we can make sure that our message gets out. We spent a lot of time talking about how we're going to do that. We have some other things that Scott will talk about in his director's report, but this issue of us doing a media buy is something that we firmly believe we need to do. If we're going to reach those voters, we have to do it in that way. And so we made some decisions today, as a matter of fact, of what those spots are going to look like, who's going to kind of be involved as volunteer to be a part of that, that we think will be powerful. So I totally support what we're trying to do now, understanding it's a different kind of election, folks. It's a primary. It's contested in one area but not in another, and we also have the dynamic of we're asking for new money, and some of the other levies that are on the ballot are asking for renewal. So for us, it's a little different situation. But I can tell you that we've been very judicious on these dollars to make sure that we're spending them in the right way and the things that we're doing. And I'm very positive that if we do this, it's going to give us the best chance for success.
Thank you, Christina and Jim, for saying that. Anyone else? All right.
I move we approve.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Questions and readiness? Roll call vote.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Harding?
Yes.
Ms. Howe?
Yes.
Ms. Mendoza-Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Stengel?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion approved. Scott.
Okay, so,
Director's report.
thank you, sir. I will have, let's, fairly brief, for me, director's report. There's some things going on I wanted you to be aware of that we're doing. First, you should be seeing some television ads. Saw one this morning in the channel, I think it's Channel 11 and Channel 13 News. It's about the board. There's 3 people that will speak on the value of the board. It's a real short ad, but it's very well done. It looks good. It's just this is the board. This is what we do in a very short period, very condensed version, and it's very well done. Kudos to Faith and Michael and the team who put that together. That's been part of the community awareness campaign that we started I think a year and a half ago now. Also, there is a CIT class next week, right, Latrice? You got a full class?
Yes, 26 officers right now.
That's one of our ongoing commitments to law enforcement. We run 4 or 5 of those a year, maybe 6. Latrice has been working hard to modernize the agenda and the topics to make it fresh for the people that are going through the training, and we're getting positive feedback on CIT. CIT is loved in the community, and we hear a lot about it. There is also a few things that I would like the community to know. On March 22nd, it's a Friday, from 9:30 to 2. The Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services is coming in, and they are doing a listening campaign or an engagement, community engagement campaign at the main library in the glass conference room. It's from 9:30 to 2 on the state opioid and stimulant grant 4.0 funds. So they want to basically hear what people are doing, if they've been a grantee, how they think it's going, what else should be done. We are going to provide some refreshments to that group during the day, but I'm going to encourage everybody, family members, individuals who have been impacted, organizations. Our board will be heavily represented there giving testimony, because this is what they will use to help direct priorities for the, are you ready for it? The 4.0 monies.
4.0 monies.
Right? Now,
What's the date on that again? I'm sorry.
March 22nd.
March 22nd, thank you, Scott.
And 4.0 monies, that's an important statement to make, because up until about a week ago, we didn't know if there was going to be 4.0 monies. Now there's a high likelihood that there is. Now, will we get the same amount that we got last time? Who knows? It depends on their priorities. But we get $3.1 million, 3.2, something like $3.3 million of SOS 3.1 year. I don't even want to attempt to be, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So these funds, they cover a big portion of our recovery housing. They fund some jail treatment services. They fund some youth programming. So they're new concepts, minority treatment outreach program. So they're very valued in our community. Along with the discussion, I have a One Ohio update. One Ohio Recovery Foundation. I want folks to go to the www.oneohiofoundation.com and go to the grants page. One Ohio Recovery Foundation just opened up the registration for the grants portal. You have to be registered in the grants portal in order to apply for the funding that is coming down for Region 4. That's $2.4 million. So the registration grant portal is open now. In about a month, the grant portal will actually open so that you can apply. In that grants page, you'll also see a document that defines what the strategies and priorities are and who is eligible and what is eligible to be funded. Those are critical documents for people in the community to look at before they make those applications. No official record or no official information has come out from the Regional 4 Foundation or Regional 4 Board yet, because we meet tomorrow. So this just came out last Friday. So I'm just trying to get it out there as much as we can, because there's a lot of people asking about these funds, and this is significant movement from the state foundation that we need to make sure everybody knows about. Also, on Thursday, March 14th, I am participating in a panel discussion with Children's Services, the Mayor's Office, Toledo Police Department, and then there's several community members regarding the impact of racial bias and disproportionality in child welfare, a framework for collaboration and systems solutions. That's from 12:30 to 2:30. That's also at the main library in the McMaster Center. I'll send out information. That is kind of, that's an offshoot of some of the work we were doing several years ago regarding systems development around our health equity efforts in our community. So there was a bunch of us, all the major systems were coming together in a facilitated approach to talk about what we could do as systems to impact racial bias and institutional bias in our entire systems and in our entire community. You may remember we got a little tired of waiting for people to do things, so we stepped out and did a project called FACES that was directly related to some of the work that this group was doing. Well, the facilitator of that group was from San Francisco, and their time ran out, and it kind of went dormant for a little bit, about 8 months, until CSB started to bring everybody back together again. So this is the first time we've been back together on this, and this fits right within our bailiwick as far as our strategic planning, our equity and action planning, and it's a great opportunity for us to be involved in a systemic discussion. And yes, we are doing a small sponsorship for the project as well. So we're collaborating with CSB on the cost of the issue, or the project.
Scott, before you move from that, what's the likely makeup of the audience for that panel discussion?
Well, we're trying to get community members, decision makers, folks that are working in the DEI&B space, so that they can see that there are some things going, but also provide input into what else needs to be done, what's working, what's not, those kinds of things.
I would encourage you, I think there is a group, and I'm not sure whether it's a grassroots group of minority DE&I professionals.
We're aware of, there's actually 2 groups.
Okay.
We're aware of both of them, and Hope Bland, Dr. Hope Bland from CSB is involved in both of those groups, and she's the one coordinating this.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and we were involved in one of those groups. Lisa McDuffie's team from
Right.
Hawaii was developing one of them.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
Is that Trek?
Yeah, Trek had a, I think they had a plan, and then there was a group of DEI&B officers that were that I think developed from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the date again?
And that is March 14th, from 12:30 to 2:30. Again, I will send out information for all of that. I want to remind you that we are new in this space. We are still working out bugs regarding access. We got hit with a curveball today, right? They shut down the garage on us. So we're learning. And so please have patience. We're trying to work out what issues, are thrown at us. And one of the big issues is we're still not getting mail. We're trying to work ourselves through that. Yes, ma'am.
I contributed to the campaign, but maybe it wasn't enough.
building today.
Well,
Those of us who came to the campaign committee meeting had no problem parking in the garage.
again, we don't know why that is, why you weren't able to get in. I mean, we're monitoring, we're talking to the
I
people.
couldn't get in, so I went around the front and parked, and the thing that you pay doesn't work, it's out of order. And then it said, the tape over the button said, don't push it, so I didn't push it. So I walked all the way around the
That was the
building to the one that gave a phone number. And I called that number, and the guy said, no, they're not in this building. I said, yes, they are. Well,
Yeah, I had the same problem.
connected me to somebody else, and she finally came down, only she was at a different door. She said, ignore the tape, push it anyway.
So you're, just for the record,
But I thought you wanted more money.
these should be able to be pushed right onto the keypad, and you should be able to open the door.
Oh,
Yeah.
outside.
Outside.
I tried above that, but I must have.
Well, there's a keypad, there's a little, when you
So
walk
how
out
did
this
everybody
door.
else get in the garage, or didn't they?
Well, that's not gonna get you in the garage.
No, I know, but how did everybody else get in?
We got in because we were here for a meeting at 2:30.
I came to
I parked down the street.
So,
I park where there's no meters.
so like I said, we're still working out some bugs. And we knew there would be some nuances to the space. And we're still just trying to figure out how we best overcome those types of things. It's, complicated by the fact that we no longer have just one go-to, right? I can call security on it, and that would be resolved. That's not like that here.
You have no influence.
Can I make a suggestion? I probably could also be, I know we have people standing right by the guard's desk, but probably someone standing by the door also, because I think that's what happens when people come in the door. You can't, if you're at the guard's desk, you can't see people at the door. I think that was.
Well, ideally, you should be able to get in and not worry
Right.
about somebody standing there.
Next
But
month,
we'll-
this
we'll
will
sort
actually
it
get us into the
It'll work,
building.
so I'll
Yes.
know.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, not have to bring the buzzer.
Right. But you're right, we can do a lot better job of making sure. So let's start with everybody, when we get the chance, should be parking in the garage in between North Superior and North St. Clair. And then you walk across the St. Clair side to you can either go overhang or the overwalk, or it's a lot quicker just to go across the street. So go down to ground floor and across, not stop on one and walk across the overwalk. That's the easiest way to come. And then from there, you'll see signs that just point you to the guard station. This badge should get you in that door, and it should get you through the elevator kiosk. And then you know the code. It's not a secret, by the way, they're telling everybody the code. So eventually we will eliminate the code, and then you'll have to use your badge to swipe into these doors. So that'll be our main security, is you might be able to get up the elevator, but you won't be able to get into the suite until you sweep your door or sweep your badge. So yes, I know it's frustrating for you all, it's incredibly frustrating for me. Please have patience. So there's a couple levy things that we want to talk about as well. We gave you a little teaser in the item beforehand. There's a couple of things that we want you to think about. First is, you might have gotten the idea that we kind of made a little detour on our levy planning process, and we're doing some things that are rather unique to us, beyond just the radio that we'll do, and those ads will start hitting this week and next week. The second mailer went out this week. The third mailer will go out next week for those likely voters. We will be doing TV ads for the first time since I've been here. And we will have a number of individuals on our levy committee and on this board that will be highlighted in those ads. It'll be a quick, modest spot, but it will be to the point. So I appreciate your willingness to do that when asked. We also are working with our agencies who have been extremely cooperative during this process and being, they've been doing everything that we've asked to develop what we're calling Recovery Early Voting Rally or Early Voting Recovery Rally. You can pick your name, but the gist of it is we want to mobilize our constituents, our stakeholders, those people that care about behavioral health services, their families, their friends, their employers, individuals with lived experience. We want to mobilize them in a Get Out the Vote campaign on March 17th from 2 to 5 p.m. where we will have a rally and we will support them going and voting for issue 8. The location is to be determined, but it's going to be in one of 2 places that are going to be very closely located to the Early Vote Center. I can't really tell you exactly where that is yet because we're still trying to get confirmation. What we also are doing, because if March 17th isn't jogging any memories, it happens to be my anniversary. No, it is my anniversary, but it's St. Patrick's Day. And so all around, especially on a Sunday, there's going to be a lot of drinking going on. Let's just be clear about that, right? So we want to have a recovery rally that is alcohol-free for people to come and do something festive on St. Patrick's Day, but also supportive of our levy campaign. So we're going to have an alcohol-free early voting recovery rally.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we've never done anything like this before, but the model is out there. Early voting, especially during the general election, they'll have food trucks out there. They'll have a DJ. We'll have that. We'll have transportation to shuttle back and forth to the Early Vote Center. So we're really going to encourage all the agencies, everybody to just show up and make it a fun day. And of course, vote for issue 8. Then there's one other thing that we've been doing that I'm going to turn the talk over to Senna to talk about.
Okay, so in front of everybody or on your seat, you see I'm 4 and issue 8. So what we're asking everybody to do, and anybody who wants extra cards to help pass them out and to get other people to do it as well, is to do a selfie with your card and put it on Facebook and post it as your picture on Facebook, so that we can start. We're trying to get the algorithms for this to go viral within our community. So the more people who do it, that triggers the algorithms to do this. So if everybody wants to pick up their card, get your phone out.
This is bad lighting.
Oh. And just do this, and then all you have to do is this, and then post it. Then there are hashtags.
She just went that way a moment.
Oh, did she? Okay, do you know
Yeah, I
that?
got it, yeah, right here.
You got the hashtags?
Hashtag Lucas County Cares is what she's saying.
What is it? Christine, I'm sorry.
Hashtag Lucas County Cares.
Lucas County Cares.
Yeah.
I promise to do it with.
And then we're like, okay, that's cool. I
Better
get it. I get it. Yesterday, we attended the IMA meeting, and the pastors were just so supportive of this. And on Sunday, they're going to be asking their congregations to do this. So the more people we get involved in doing this, the more we're gonna be able to get this out. And it's for us, it's free. So it's like, yeah, everybody do this. We're asking all the agencies, all of our partners, and there'll definitely be cards there on March 17th and anything. So if you're going to like a group, and you know of a group of people who do it, like the CIT class maybe, you could reach out to Michael. He has extra cards. I'm trying to think if there are any other groups that we could reach out to. Let's do this. I'm gonna take some over, hopefully to the Town Warrant Center. And they won't, without some instruction, they'll know what to do with them, but I won't be able to stand there, but I'll be able to give a few people some instructions on how to use these and whatnot. Also, they're great for when you're leaving tips, or if you know of anywhere, if you go to the hairdresser, leaving, 5 or 6 of them there why not? The more we get this out, the better off we'll be. And they're nice and small, so they don't take up a lot of counter space, and they're easy to throw in your bag. Any questions on how to do this, or what to do with it? Who's for issue 8? Who's for issue 8?
Thank you, Senna. We also have a press conference scheduled for next Friday, 10 a.m. This Friday, thank you. This Friday, 10 a.m. with what we're calling the 4X Mayor. Mike Bell, Donna Owens, Senator Hicks Hudson, and Mayor Cardi Finkbeiner. Where we're going to focus on behavioral health services and their contributions to addressing traumas as they relate to public safety issues. That is a big win for us. Those 4 in particular are very supportive of the work that we do, and we're really looking forward to sharing the media attention with them on this. And then we have a couple of other things planned that it's a little too early to make those announcements known, but Faith will be issuing almost daily posts on our social media, I think daily posts on all social media. And by the end of the night, you should also have media packets or
It's an invite to the Dropbox to
Media
download
kits.
all the
She said we'll have it.
graphics and talking points.
So all that stuff should be in your email right now.
It's already there.
So use that to do your posts, get the word out, vote yes on issue 8. Folks, it's going to be a close call, but I feel we're making positive steps. We picked up the Chamber of Commerce endorsement, Toledo Area Small Business Association's endorsement. We picked up Sylvania City Council last night, and we have Teamsters 20. There are a number of important endorsements that we think are going to come, and we're hopeful that the Blade will be positive towards us as well. And so we believe we're on the right track, and it's largely because of the work that you guys are doing, staff are doing, people in the community are doing. There's a lot of people, including commissioners and ex-mayors and IMA and UPSI. If you haven't read Pastor Perriman's article in the Truth last Thursday or Friday, in my opinion, it's one of the best articles I think I've ever read. I would encourage you to read that. Go look it up. It speaks a lot of truth, and I think it's just something we need to embrace. So with that, I have nothing else to say, but there was a question.
She already answered it. She got the churches to get out the vote.
Yeah.
She answered it.
And Michael is helping with that as well. IMA and UPSI and Baptist this week, or UPSI next week.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So for Sunday the 17th, do you want us all out there? That's why I was just wondering.
We would love to have you out there.
So are we gonna have, I guess I'm asking, because I don't have a problem as I have time to go to the early vote center, because people are standing out there handing out information. Do you want us handing out cards? Is there something that we
We'll
can
let
hand?
you know, because
Okay.
if we
Sounds
get
like a bad date,
if
Scott.
we get the
It's like, I'll let you know.
Another kind of bad thing.
It's not you. What I was going to say is, if we get the spot we want, we won't need to do that.
Right, okay. But so Sunday 2 to 5:30, is it?
2 to 5.
2 to 5, okay.
Open voting, I think, early voting ends that day, Sunday, and I think it's 1 to 5.
So we can be out there to help, like, with the cards that Senna and Christina are talking about. Are you guys gonna be out there at all?
Yep.
Okay.
Usually the Sunday before election, they have souls to the polls.
They don't usually do that on a primary, though, I don't
No,
believe.
just,
Right.
You're not doing it this year?
Yeah,
never heard any movement the issue.
Yeah.
By now, we would hear some crazy.
but we're trying to get a prime location
We'll have our
where
own
we will be
souls.
highly visible, and that's exactly what we're modeling it after, our own souls to the polls, which is why we're starting at 2, because it's after church.
Good. Do you need volunteers for that or no?
Michael will,
Okay.
Yes.
Look here, okay.
Yes to all the questions.
Okay.
and we will also be sending out a sign-up genius, whatever it is, for poll greeters. You know, on a voting day, on the 19th. You know, we have people standing at the polls encouraging voting. So all that's gonna go out here shortly as well. No stone will be left unturned. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And don't forget, you can still make your donation today, tomorrow, but make it soon.
Yes.
And don't mail it.
And no matter. All right, now we'll have our open session. And yes, sir.
Lots going on at One Government Center. I'm just going to touch briefly on some of the things that have been going on at the County Commissioners meeting. They did approve their contract with Axon. What is it? They're the only makers of taser in the world. In Scottsdale, Arizona, if you don't like your product, you've got a lot. But they purchased both the tasers and the training they will need, and frequently people with mental illness and substance abuse are tasered. They also approved the contract with Unison, and this is for 6 months this year, running through June 30th. That's for $405,000. The Sheriff's Department says that those services are badly needed, and of course, if they do a good job, then they don't need to use those tasers they just purchased. And this morning, I'm not following this, the guaranteed maximum price that they contracted with Lathrop for to move this agency, Control Service Inspector, it was $3.6 million, and that's not enough. They're going to increase it by at least $260,000 more, and it gives a long list of what it's for. But yeah, they're still in the process of working that out, getting everything paid for in this building. Big meeting next week, or the 14th, that's a week from Thursday. That will be the Plan Commission, and they will be here in Cherry Street, Mission, as they talk about their new expansion. They have 2 parcels of land next to them, one owned by Cherry Street, one owned by the county commissioners. They are going to put multi-family housing in there. I don't know how many units, because they're only asking for the zone change at this point. They were going to ask for 2 months, but they asked for a 60-day deferment. But that's going to be a very big project. It will be a joint project between Lucas County Metropolitan Housing Authority and Cherry Street Mission. I don't think anybody's going to oppose it, but it is badly needed. And I briefly want to talk about City Council. They have declared war on tobacco. Let me see if I can explain. When you put up a tobacco shop, you've got to go first before the Plan Commission. You submit it to the Plan Commission staff. They make recommendations on everything from hours of operation to landscape, everything. So there was one at 1339 Dorr Street and one on Monroe Street. The one on Dorr Street, he agreed to 19 specifications. The one on Monroe Street agreed to 11. Nobody showed up to protest this. That's the way it usually is. And everything was set, and then they went before city council and they got torpedoed. Venice Williams, District 4 representative, she received a letter. She received a letter, and it said, we think that these are bad for neighborhoods. And she went on a tirade, and she lectured them on the evils of smoking. I watched the applicants very closely. They were stunned. They had no idea they would be, ambushed like this. And so they voted them, both of them down. Now, it bears mentioning, just a month earlier, City Council approved a smoke shop over on Alexis. That's right next door to a neighborhood. I guess some neighborhoods need protection and some don't. But they've been doing this for years. It's never been an issue. They always pass a plan commission, they always pass the City Council. But on the basis of one letter, City Council has declared war. They were both voted down. They've got to wait for a year before they can reapply. And the reason is because they're a threat to the neighborhood. And now the one on Dorr Street, that's in her district, yeah, I guess that is a neighborhood. The one over on Monroe Street, well, it's near the Kroger's at Monroe and Secor, and I don't know, maybe they're afraid the Notre Dame students will go over there and buy a pack of smokes or something. I don't know. I just have this mental image of Catholic schoolgirls loitering outside of a smoke shop smoking cigarettes. So I'm using ridicule to make a point. These business owners did everything right, just like many before them, and they agreed to all the specifications. They're selling a legal product, but they got ambushed at City Council. And it's no secret, a lot of people think City Council is anti-business. This is just going to reinforce that. So if you've got two business owners, potential business owners that aren't going to be paying a lot of taxes because they don't have a business to pay taxes on. And of course, it's taxes that pays for all of this. So I'm going to continue following that. But for the time being, City Council has just declared war on tobacco.
Thank you, Richard. Is there anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you.